Shalom. I am Rabbi Nathan Davidovich, speaking to you on behalf of the webyeshiva.org, speaking to you from Efrat, Israel. I'm going to speak about this week's Torah reading, this week's Parsha, which is Lech L'Cha, and I'm going to ask the question, as we're taught from this Parsha. Sometimes we ask, where are we going? And can this be a test of faith? Let me just preface this short Torah lesson with a story I heard many years ago about a religious Jew who was walking in Tsarist Russia down the street. And he was approached by a policeman who asked him, "Where are you going?" And he said, "I don't know." And the policeman got angry and said again, "Tell me where you're going." He said, "I don't know." The policeman arrested him, brought him in court before the judge, and the judge says, "Why did you tell him you didn't know where you're going? Where were you going?" He says, "I truly didn't know, because I really was planning to go to the Beis Medrash to study. But here I ended up in court, so I didn't know where I was going." Oftentimes that happens in our lives. We think we're going somewhere. We attempt to go somewhere, and by God's design, we are ending up in a different place. So this week's Parsha of Lech L'Cha starts out by the Torah telling Abraham, Avram Avinu, "Vayomer Hashem el Avram Lech L'Cha me'artzecha u'meladtecha u'beis avicha el haaretz asher areka." He says, go out of your land, your native land, out of your birthplace, out of your father's house, and go to the land that I will show you. God didn't tell Abraham where he was going, where he was going to lead him. And Abraham, in his great faith, just set out and followed God's command, going wherever God was going to lead him. That's one of the great tests of Abraham. He had a number of significant tests. He had 10 major tests in his life, a lot of which are recounted in this week's Parsha. But one of them was leaving everything behind and not knowing where he was going. The question is asked, okay, Abraham had great faith in God. The question is also asked about Moses. But Rabbi Shia Twersky, Olav Shalom, raises that question in his book, and he says, what's so special about that? God was talking to each of them. If God was talking to us and we could hear him specifically, wouldn't we have great faith in God? And he answers by quoting the statement of Rabbi Mordechai of Lechovitz, who says, the Talmud tells us in Gemara Shabbos, says that one of the questions that you are asked upon leaving this world when you come before the heavenly tribunal is Nasata be'amuna. Did you transact with faith? Normally that's meant to mean, did you have an honest method of dealing in business? Did you transact business honestly? When we transact business, oftentimes it involves a process, a give and take process, a process of negotiation. And the person who's trying to improve his business, trying to get more, will do what he can to maximize his reward. So Rabbi Lechovitz says, Rabbi Mordechai says, that we have to apply that to our emunah, to our faith in God. It's not just enough to have faith in God because maybe God's talking to us, but we have to work and be able to answer the question that whatever God gave us, did we try to maximize our spirituality with what God has given us, or did we just accept things as they are? That's a message that we can learn from Avraham Avinu. We also see in the later in the Parsha, Avraham is told that first he's asking God, how am I going to have an heir? I don't have any children. And God says, you will have. And he takes him outside, and he says to him, he says, takes him outside of his tent. He says, look at the heavens. And look at the heavens and count the stars, if you can count them. And he says, so too, ko zaracha, so many will be your children. And then that is followed by the next sentence, which is v'ohemin b'Hashem v'yachshiveo lo tzedakah. That because Avraham Avinu put his trust in God, God considered that as part of his righteousness. When God is taking him out to count the stars, what is God telling him? He's telling him that the people are going to be his descendants will be a multitude of people. That seems unnecessary, because that's already been told. He says your people will be as many as the dust and the sand of the earth, unable to be counted. So why is he repeating this again? So the Ha'emek Hadavar says, that's Rabbi Naftali Tzvi Yehuda Berlin and Etziv, he says, this promise about the multitude of his children had already been made. But what he's saying is that there will be many men of stature who will bring light like the stars. The Netziv says that maybe Avraham thought that because he was compared to the multitude, compared to the dust of the earth, that maybe there'd be a lot of people, but they wouldn't be worthy. So he's saying that no, it's to tell him that there will be people who will be worthy. And the Rabbeinu Bachai picks up on that theme and says that when God is showing him the stars, he's telling him that just as the stars, some stars shine brighter than others, so too some of your descendants will be brighter than others. All told, they will be bright, but some will be brighter than others. The key in all of this is Avram's great trust in God. He didn't argue with God, didn't ask him as to where he was going. When he was told to give up everything that he had, to leave his family, to leave his land, meaning that he wouldn't return to get an inheritance from his land, from his family. And God said, don't worry, your reward is going to be much greater than that. This was the faith of Avraham Avinu. He went beyond what God had given him, the natural ability to work to increase his faith. And that's a message to all of us, that we shouldn't just be satisfied with what we have and just accept things as they are, but we should do things to try to increase our faith, try to maximize the benefit that we get from faith, from our faith, as we would try to maximize the benefit that we try to get in negotiating a business deal. Thank you for listening on behalf of the webyeshiva.org. I wish everybody a Shabbat Shalom.